Yo, what's happening? Welcome to Transforming Lives. Our theme for this season is from football to fathers, the fatherhood. And tonight, man, we're jumping on and we're going to dive into this whole idea of football. Right tonight, riding solo. As we move forward, we'll see what it looks like moving forward. So, thank you for joining tonight. And if you are, a father, a soon-to-be father, go ahead and share that with that person. I appreciate it. If you could, also as you're riding to work, if you're not into podcasting, maybe you're looking at this on Facebook, maybe you're looking at this on LinkedIn or X, formerly known as Twitter, whatever, YouTube, whatever. Hey, this is also on Apple Podcasts. And hey, this is all you have to do if you're an Apple user. What you do is you just go to Apple Podcasts and you actually could listen to this and actually rate it. I will appreciate it if you would do so. So tonight, what we're going to look at is we're going to jump into this, what's happening in football. I want to look at this whole idea of the NFL, but it's something unique that is happening across. When we look at the NFL, when we look at colleges, it's a whole bunch of things that are happening. One of my favorite teams, it's been my favorite team since '97. The Michigan Wolverines are ranked number 2 in the nation. In the midst of all this, another year, they have all the hoopla about, is that coach staying or is he leaving? But they've added something now. It is now the whole filming piece where they call this Spygate. And this is something that is crazy that's happening right now. And it's like people are diving into it. They're talking about it on how a former coach from the Michigan Wolverine staff allegedly set up this scheme to where he had people to go to the different games and actually film the other team's signals. Now, listen, as a coach, listen to me now. I tried to do right, but if you let me see your signals and I knew that you were finna run 26 power and I knew the signal, hey, sorry, you better do a better job of it. But in this case, they're taking it to another level because actually the gentleman allegedly sent people to games and they knew the exact signs and they knew what plays they were running behind it. And another person reported that TCU got wind of it. And once TCU got wind of it, they changed all of their calls or made dummy calls. So it kind of makes sense because if you are a Michigan fan, you are asking yourself, how in the world did TCU match up with us? Well, they made some adjustments. That was the reason why. And the thing about it is, I'm pretty sure if you talk to any coach, you try to keep the integrity of the game going. But man, that happens. But Michigan, man, y'all took it to another level. Hopefully it's not true, but we know what happens in football. So listen, the whole idea of keeping your plays safe, everybody runs the same thing. You may call it something different, but everybody runs the same exact plays on offense and defense. Yeah. But when you know when they're running it, that's the big difference. I like what Deion Sanders says. Look, you can have the whole playbook, but if you can't stop it, I don't care what you have. And this reminded me of a story of Mike Leach. Mike Leach, in his days at Oklahoma, he had a GA or somebody to drop one of their fake play sheets. And they took it to the person, the defensive coordinator, and the defensive coordinator followed the actual play script. And it was just a setup. And I don't know what year that was, but I remember looking at it, and Oklahoma blew up that particular team that they were playing. So, hey, that's the football scoop for right now. It's a lot more, but that's what was on my mind. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move to the second quarter. Second quarter, when we begin to dive into this whole idea of being a father. And it was something unique that happened a couple of weeks ago for me. I had the opportunity to go to my son's, I think they call it donut with dude, to something or another. And the unique experience was, I was there with my son, but there were other children that did not have their dads there. For whatever reason, don't know the case or whatever, didn't necessarily ask. But for me, it was a different moment because I've been on the side where, you've been the educator and you kind of almost like protecting the kid, where you try to not make it a big deal for the child, because that does hurt, right? It hurts. It's not the child's responsibility. But seeing it from a parent standpoint, it was something that hit me differently, where for those two kids, and again, you don't know the situation, so you just can't jump to conclusions. For those two children, they saw everybody else with their fathers, and they saw them hugged up. They saw them sitting in chairs, and it brought a sobering moment for me to say, definitely cherish the moment that I have and value the moment. But sometimes for events are not joyful they're not joyful. Again, I did not ask the kids or whatever, but for them, it was like a normal day for them. And you don't know what a kid is dealing with. And a lot of times they don't know how to express themselves, and it becomes a normal part of it. So for me, what it did for me was to say our responsibility as fathers is huge. We know it is, but moments help you to reshape your thinking. And for me, it said, I can go over, but I can't change their situation. But what I can do is I can make that opportunity for who I have and who I'm responsible for valuable, and make that particular moment count. Fathers, you're listening. When you listen to this, you have a huge impact on your family. Maybe you're not married, whatever the case may be. Maybe you're not with your significant other, but for you, you have a significant impact on your children. It's so important. It's not the child's responsibility for us to be there. I think that was a part that I got from it. It is our responsibility to be there for our children. Listen, I want to take this in another direction in this second quarter. I want to talk about personal growth. When we look at how do we, as fathers, begin to move forward or find a place where we can get, maybe we got knocked off our feet. Life happens. Life does happen. Life happens. And we have to find that moment where we can find our foot, feeding, whatever. I don't think feeding is a word. find our place, establish a balanced place. And how do we grow as fathers? I think one of the things we have to do is we have to get around those particular models. Sometimes they say, well, it's inside of you, find that thing inside of you. Sometimes we don't have a clue. Can I be honest? Sometimes we don't have a clue, and we have to find ourselves. And it's a term called engrafting. And engrafting, what it is they take a tree, and they take another tree, and they actually take a straight. So let's say you're putting two trees together. So you take one tree that is growing, that is alive, and another tree that might not be as strong. And what you do is you tie them together. And over time, what happens is that tree begins to entwine together, and it begins to grow, right? So what is that? How does that have to do anything with fathers? When we think about personal growth, a lot of times is what can we gain to be better, to shine. No, when we talk about personal growth as a father, when you become a father, it's no longer about you. It's about what can you build within build your capacity to help those that you're responsible for. And that could be your children, that could be your wife or whomever, whatever the case may be. It's building yourself. So when we talk about growing, it's finding that balance. Typically for men, hey, men, we're all about, hey, let's work, let's work, let's work. But let me tell you, you have to find a moment in time where you develop that personal time and build you as a person. And there's you know, you might say, I got a full list of stuff that I can grow on. Don't tackle the full list. Don't do that. What you want to do is you want to slow yourself down and you want to find that one thing that is just really nagging you. Maybe that's not spending time with your children. That is rearranging your schedule. That is stopping. And let me back up a little bit more. Is reevaluating what's really important. Like what's important? What's really important? Because if you don't have that aligned, it doesn't really matter about what time you put in. Going back to my son, one of the most important things for me was I was present. It was not this, as if you're a former football player, you're in the stadium and everybody's raw. It's not that. It's that moment to where you're attentive to your children's needs. For me, it was eating a donut, and I think we had some orange juice. That was probably the most important thing at that moment. It was not thinking about anything else, and it was finding that balance to give time, because I can't get that moment back ever, right? Can't get that moment back ever. So when we talk about personal growth, it is recognizing the importance of balancing your time. That's super important. The next part is learning patience. Let me tell you something. Woo, I wish patience was on aisle 7 in Walmart that I can go pick it up. But patience is built in turmoil. Patience is built when I'm uncomfortable, because I really don't know I have it until I'm placed in those moments that I have the opportunity to respond back. And patience is recognizing you are talking to you when you're talking to your children. That's who you're talking to. My 2 little boys, I'm talking to myself. And I can't get mad at self because I know what self is going to do. Patience is recognizing, how do I respond and what is most important for their life, not mine. What's most important in their life, not mine. Next thing is, listen, you're going to face challenges during your time of improving as a father. You're just going to face that. That's challenges. But here's what I do know. Challenges build character in you if you allow it. Still goes back to patience. Patience, you're not going to get from point A to point D quick. There's a process that you have to go through, and what that deals with is that builds you. And when you allow your moment in time to allow yourself to be built, you prepare yourself for not just your future, for your children's future. Okay. You're the most important thing that they have in their lives, right? That you are the most important person they have in their lives. Okay. Again, I always pause and say this. Sometimes mothers hear this and they're like, it's not a slight at mothers. Never will be, because that's stupidity. It is us understanding our role. It's hard for you to model something that you don't know what it looks like. And the most important model that your children have is you. And I'm gonna do this right here. I'm gonna point at y'all, I'm gonna point at me. All right. It's our model. You make a difference. You learn from your mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. If you make mistakes, man, cool. Look, what you have to do is you have to learn from them, adjust, and move forward. Okay? You make mistakes. Who hasn't? That's just the name of the game. But the power in that is you have the ability to be the cheat code for your children. Because who knows your children better than you? Nobody. I'm gonna close this thing out, guys. I said I was gonna get on here 15 minutes. It's 20, but it's all good. When we talk about, let me give you a little homework. When we talk about personal growth as a father, we looked at kind of just how do you balance time? How do you learn patience? How do you adapt to things that are different in your life? One of the first things you have to do is now begin to set goals. Okay, you don't have to have no deep seminar. You don't need it. What you need is number one, write down one thing that you're trying to accomplish for that week and be crazy focused on it. Right? So that could be this. It could be making sure for 5 days you are checking on how your child is doing in school. That's simple, right? It could be this. You having a conversation before your child goes to sleep. It could be this. You setting up a special day with your child once a week that you know you can make it you can make it thematic where it could be Super Saturday, where you know your child and you are going to eat breakfast every Saturday. That's something simple that you can set the goal for. And that moment, what you're doing is you're taking this and you're setting it to the side, and it's not important. Nothing is important. And what you're doing is investing and you're teaching all of those things that they need by that simple setting the goal. Now, time management, man, I don't know how you're going to manage time. But if you begin to set your goals and you begin to set up and make it a priority, that's your first step. Listen, guys, thank you for joining. The whole thing about being a father is not being perfect. It's about growing. You grow, and as you grow, your children grow. Hey, if you're listening to this, share this with a father. Let them know about it. Thank you for joining. And this concludes From Football to Fathers. You all have a great one. And we are out of this thing. Holla at you. Peace.